Welcome. This is Liberty Action Network. This is Lunch, Pail, and the Professor. This is your political psychotherapy session. Viewer warning, this program is unscripted. Strong language, sexual situations, violence. Nah, just kidding.
No kidding.
Just kidding. There's no violence. Okay, there we go. All right, let's move right along. I think we could title the show "Hell in a Handbasket." Things seem to be crumbling all around us.
Yep.
You know, I don't want to be pessimistic because the left and the White House would call me up and say, "Hey, be happy. Things are on a roll. Employment's getting better. We're winning in the Middle East, and Ebola is totally under control."
Like the 60s.
Be happy.
The flower children in the 60s.
The flower
right?
children, peace.
Be happy. Don't worry about it.
So here's the thing I'm wondering about. You know, we hear the elections are approaching, right? Like 17 days now, 16 days, something like that.
Counting. Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I'm seeing all these, you know, the big issue is, will the Republicans take the Senate? Well, maybe, maybe not. When you look at the race, how could it possibly be this close, given what we've been through for the last 6 years, 7 years, whatever it is now? I lost track of how long Obama's been in the White House. Why is it this close? You have an idea?
Why is it so close?
Yeah.
Like
All right, answer a different question.
So many ideas. I don't know where to begin with.
All right, well, I got an idea.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, first idea is, does anybody tell me who the major spokesman is for the Republican Party? Where is there a single powerful voice for the Republican Party?
No.
No, there isn't any.
No.
Number one, so who people listen to? Anybody who pops up. You have you know what they call, you have pop-up speakers for the Republican Party here, there, and everywhere, right?
Yep.
The second piece is, what's the platform? What's the platform? People are starting to understand. It's not just, hi, I'm the Republican Party. We're here to help you. We're not Obama. It's got to be something better than that. It's got to be, here's our plan for moving forward and getting us out of this mess. Not hearing it yet. Not hearing it. Maybe there is one out there. You know, you keep hearing there are 12 points, but who's the spokesman?
Maybe they're holding it. Maybe they're holding it. They're waiting for Christie to jump in and close it, right?
Yeah, Christie
That'll be the day.
he'll turn it around, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not so sure about that. So anyway, it troubles me. If the Republican Party can't take the Senate under these conditions, where do we go from there? It's over.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Madam Producer's off there shaking her head. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I'm like, oh my God. Well, they really haven't. I mean, 17 days ago, where's the message? Where's the message?
Absent.
Absent. That's right.
Exactly.
So, anyway, I got a couple other things that are coming up today that I think are important.
You got a whole folder today.
Got what?
Whole folder you got today. You got talking points for a week.
I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff here, but you know, we never get to. But we got to select what we want to do.
That's Christie paging.
It's the president calling in. He didn't like what I said. So, well, here's a couple of things that they get to me. This is, I'm looking today at a report in a local paper. The Federal Reserve Chief, Janet Yellen, warns of economic inequality. Okay, economic inequality. As soon as I hear that, what's the other phrase I hear? Redistribution.
Yep.
All right? It's too many people are doing well, and there are a bunch of people not doing well. We got to even that up somehow. Right? So my first thought is, well, under this administration, the way you even that up is you take from those who are doing well, pull them down to the level of people that are not doing well, and you bring those little people up a little bit.
Wasn't it what Obama did with the stimulus?
With what?
The stimulus packages?
Oh, stimulus. Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was supposed to do that.
Yeah, stimulus. And yeah, we got a call coming in. Hey, Houston, welcome. Okay. So here's a couple of quotes from Janet Yellen. By some estimates, income and wealth inequality is near the highest level in the past 100 years. Hey, who's in the White House? Who's been in the administration for the last 8 years? You think that has something to do with where we're at and how slowly it's taking us to get out of there? So, so she's focused on issues, financial challenges that face ordinary workers and families. Yeah, we've been talking about that for the last 8 years. What's new? Maybe she's not talking to us, folks. Maybe she's talking to, I don't know whom. But I think most of us know this. Unemployment rate, she said, is now at 5.9%. But that doesn't fully reflect the health of the job market. No kidding. The highest rate of people out of the labor market in the past, I don't know, 50 years, 80 years. She expressed concern, for example, about stagnant incomes. Okay, I think we know that. Number of part-time workers, who want full-time jobs, and many people who have given up their job searches and are no longer counted as the unemployed. Well, that's right. But you know what? You don't hear that out of the White House. You don't hear it out of the White House. What you hear out of the White House is be happy, things are getting better.
Yep.
Well, and so then here is some of the punchlines, and you read between the lines and you see what's going on here. Janet Yellen, in my opinion, is a real progressive lefty. So here we go. I think it is appropriate to ask whether this trend is compatible with the values rooted in our nation's history. Among them, the high value Americans have traditionally placed on equality of opportunity. Yeah, we're for equality of opportunity. But that doesn't mean we're for equality of outcome. Everybody who has an opportunity doesn't necessarily have the same outcome, Janet. Okay. So let's be careful about that. The other thing about people being on the bottom here, we have inequality, we have the richer people up here, we have people on the bottom. What Janet doesn't address is the issue that over the years and analysis have been done, that people on the bottom tend to move up into the middle class. Okay? And people in the upper class sometimes tend to move down to be less rich. There is a fluctuating movement. This is not a static statistic. But of course, Janet's not addressing that. Maybe she did address it. Maybe the paper just didn't put it in there. So now Janet, my good friend Janet, outlines 4 areas she describes as the building blocks of opportunity. Early childhood education. I wonder if she's talking about Common Core. Affordable higher education. Okay, does that mean free higher education? And who pays for that? And business ownership and inheritances. Okay, let's just take business ownership. What's been the biggest destroyer of jobs and business ownership? Overregulation.
Yep.
And this administration has gone wild on overregulation because remember, folks, their philosophy is simply this. We're here from the government. We're here to help you. Bigger government can solve all your problems. That's the way they operate.
Never work. Never will.
So whenever you hear income inequality, think redistribution, think more regulation, think of how their approach to making things better is more and more government. Okay. What do you think about that?
You nail it right there.
Oh, you agree with me?
Yeah.
I like to have people on the show that agree with me, folks, just to let you know. It's always good that way. Okay. Here are a couple of things under what we call under our famous "Who cares" items. Right? These are the issues that happen. They get newsworthiness headlines, although they're not newsworthy. Here's 2. Joe Biden's younger son gets discharged from the military for testing positive for cocaine. Thank you, Joe Biden. I must run in a family.
Yep.
Joe, those people who remember years ago when Joe Biden was running for president, actually had to drop out of the race because he was guilty of plagiarism and in some of his writings, and so he had to drop out.
You know what I like, my friend Joe?
What do you like, Crazy Joe?
Yeah.
He's your uncle, isn't he?
He was running for president. You know how much he donated?
How much?
I donated more than him in a year. And not just the lunch pail. I was laughing my butt off.
That would be a good headline.
Oh my
Lunch
goodness.
Pail out donates Biden to charity.
Oh my God.
I think that would be a great one. All right, the other one. Here's the other one that's really not. Charlie Sheen. I don't even have to describe Charlie Sheen. Everybody knows Charlie Sheen.
Whatever.
Says he's no longer going to marry his fiance, who is a porno star, by the way, because he wants to spend more time attending to his children. Now, let me stop for a second. Let me just stop and think for a moment. His children. What is this? What do his children think about his exploits? I'm not sure how old his children are now, but what kind of challenges do they face from his exploits and his embarrassing kinds of encounters and his corrupt, immoral kinds of exposés we've seen about Charlie Sheen? But reaches the headlines. Hey, Charlie's not going to marry his porno star. Why that's noteworthy, I don't know. But it comes under our who cares or who gives a damn. Okay. So you had something you were talking about. You want to talk about Ebola or something like that, didn't you?
Oh, Ebola?
Ebola,
you
remember Ebola, right?
You know, all the talks around that really gets me is there is 3,000 soldiers that we send to Africa to work on the protection of Ebola. They only had 4 hours of training.
Oh, that should be enough.
4 hours of
4 hours of training to deal with all that? Jeez.
Imagine,
go over there, deal with...
half of the time those guys are texting and playing with the phone probably. They get anything.
Look, I figured 4 hours of training is enough training just to get on your hazmat suit.
Yeah.
You ever see those suits?
Yeah.
Right? To get on and get out. And how do you get out of them without contaminating yourself? Right? That's about 4 hours worth of training. After that, hey guys, fend for yourself. Or maybe they'll send them to YouTube to look at how to deal with the Obama virus. That's what you call a Freudian flip, folks. Well, did anybody think of this? I'm sure you have by now because you've heard it. But when this first came out and they were talking about that you can only get this by contact with someone, contact meaning
bodily fluids,
urine, blood, vomit, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I'm saying, if that's the case, then why are they tracking over 100 people on that Frontier airline to find out if they've been contaminated and have the virus because of the nurse that's on the phone? I mean, did 100 people go up and touch that nurse somewhere? Did she sneeze on all 100 people in that plane? I don't know. But it didn't make sense to me. I did a hand survey the other night at a meeting, and I asked people, how many people here feel that the CDC and the White House have sent out messages that are confusing, incomplete, and possibly dishonest? Everybody's hand went up in the house. It's like, oh yeah, we'll agree with that. Well, that's kind of an easy survey, but it's frightening. It's frightening because the damage that is done now to any confidence in your government. Right? Now, I believe, this is just my opinion, of course, that people should be skeptical of government, especially our government that keeps expanding. But at some point, there is a legitimate function of government to protect the people from real harm. Right? And when you can't depend on them for that, you can't trust them. That damages the psyche of the country. The only thing I can hope is that it doesn't depress the vote of people. Hope people don't get so discouraged and say, what's the sense of voting? I'm hoping they say, we got to get out there and vote. All right? You're going to vote, aren't you? Lunch Pail, pay attention. Okay.
Okay, producer. I vote with my both hands, so it counts more.
We got our assistant producer over here, Center for Denial and Confusion. Oh, CDC. Okay, that's pretty good. I like that. See, folks, this is a show where everybody gets in the act. Yeah. Center for Denial and Confusion.
Where's my grandmother?
Any minute, somebody will walk through the door. Look at this. I just my gavel just fell off its poach. Okay, so there we go. So we got just 15 minutes left?
Yeah,
Okay. A couple other things here. Reading this today. Yeah, I love these headlines that you get in the newspaper. Once you get beyond the headline, you see what they're really saying. It has nothing to do with the headline. Right? Unfortunately, most people read the headlines and then move on. So, this is a problem. Right? This is a problem. Well, anyway, here's an interesting story. International Monetary Fund. That's the fund that funds other countries with our money. If I were to put it in there, very simple.
IMF.
IMF, right? The IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Their latest recommendation to kickstart the global economy, because people get concerned about Germany and France and Spain, they're going down the tubes too, all of a sudden. A big increase. I'm sorry, but where have you heard this before? We need a big increase. This is from the IMF in public infrastructure spending financed by government borrowing. Does anybody remember stimulus?
Yep.
Shovel-ready jobs, infrastructure that's ready to go. Does anybody remember, by the way, that image of the president sitting with some of his economic council at a table, and they talking about the fact that the Labor Department just came out and said, that stimulus isn't really happening.
The shovel-ready jobs were not really shovel-ready.
Right. And they all laughed. They sat at the table and they said,
laughing, yeah.
I guess some of those shovel-ready jobs weren't really shovel-ready. That was a joke.
Yeah, the guy from GE, what's his name?
GE, yeah.
Know something?
Yeah, GE, who got got so many tax exemptions.
And after they made billions of dollars, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. These people are laughing at that. It's our money because they don't care that it's our money. All right, don't get me riled up here.
Oh.
Okay. So that's the thing. So here's now the rest of the article says, but the idea that you can put people to work short, and it might give them some money, and it might then help the economy in the short term. And they said that's all good. Here's the kicker.
The clunkers?
The clunkers, yeah. Right? The issue is this. It all depends on the efficiency of how all that is done. So here's the kind of ending. As this gentleman who's writing this expressed, cost overruns and delays are normal, not exceptional. Specifically, project promoters, those people come in and say, hey, I'll take some of that stimulus money. Project promoters have an interest in overstating benefits and understating risks. What does that mean, folks? That means like, hey, we say we'll come into this for $3 billion. And then 2 months later, by the way, it's not $3 billion, it's $17 billion now. That's what you talk about by overestimating and putting in there. And you know what? If you want to pay the most, go to the government and submit your bid for the most pay. Somebody once said to me when we were talking about getting discounts. I think we were talking about buying clothes. And my friend says to me, he says, and there's nothing like paying full price. Oh my God almighty. He was joking, but the government doesn't joke. They love to pay full price for everything they get their hands on and overestimate it. Here's the final thing, and keep this in mind. This is this article now that's talking about, hey, there's some good things, but you know what? Imprecision, overstating, overcost overruns. This is an inherently precise business, meaning funding infrastructure and building infrastructure. Governments that invest in infrastructure on the assumption that it will pay for itself may find out they've gone a bridge too far. So here we go. We're talking about now, look, that's 10 minutes. Oh God, we're rolling right along here. A bridge too far. So that's a play on words. We know there are bridges that go nowhere, right? So there you go. So next time you hear this, folks, IMF wants to take some of our money and redistribute it to other countries for their infrastructure, right? Say no. Just say no.
What happened to Germany 2 years ago? The bailout Greece, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And now we have to bail out Germany. What is
It's amazing. It's amazing. All right, locally, on the local scene, those of you who don't know this, we do a lot of international news and national news, but we're a Jersey-based program.
Yep, amen.
Here we go. Headline. There were hearings recently. There were hearings recently, right? How high will the gas tax go in Jersey? Right? So right now, I'm having hearings in Trenton about funding the transportation fund, right? That is basically broke, I guess, you know, or at least we're told it's broke. And so now the question becomes, what should we do about it? So you go to these hearings and you expect to hear them talk about all the possibilities to handle the, and when you peel away all the smoke and you peel away all the layers, you hear one thing: we've got to go to the gas tax. We've got to hike the gas tax. Now, here's a thought. This is a fund that, as far as I know, has never been audited. So we have no idea how that money's been spent. Wouldn't we want to know, and shouldn't Trenton go and do an audit of that fund for the last 5 or 10 years and find out how that money's been spent, right? I say the money, how our money's been spent.
Yep.
Okay. Wouldn't we want to do that to find out why in New Jersey we pay multiple times the number, the amount of money to build a mile of road? Okay, so just to say, I'm just looking at, in New Jersey, we spend $2 million per mile to build and maintain our roads, 3 times more than the second place Massachusetts, and 4 times more than neighboring New York. Now, I worked in New York one time, folks, and I know one thing, that if you want to pay the most for anything, submit a bid to New York. You know, submit a bid to the state, and you will be guaranteed you'll pay top price. Right? We beat that. So wouldn't you think you want to have an audit? By the way, in a survey that was taken, 58% of the people oppose it. So the survey that was taken asked people, gave them 3 choices. Number 1, you have 3 ways of increasing the gas tax: a 15-cent per gallon increase, or a doubling of the existing gas tax. 17% of the people were in favor of that. A 7% tax on gas purchase, which is essentially extending the sales tax to gas purchases. And there were 18% of people would say that, okay? Or borrowing to pay for transportation each year. That's what we need, to borrow more money in Jersey. Not like we're in debt or anything. 8%. 54% said none of the above. Holy go. It's clear.
Cool is there.
Right? It's no. They're saying I don't want to raise the gas tax at all.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
I don't want anything of that kind. So here we have the. Is that Obama chiming in again here? Is that what we got? So that's our drama here in New Jersey. Now, here's an interesting thing. When the chairman of this committee and members of the Transformation Committee were asked to put these ideas on the table, like an audit, well, the best they came up with was the following. And they were told, by the way, that, majority of New Jerseyans don't want a gas tax. Their response to this was, well, we know, but we need to educate the public about why we have to do this. So what is they saying? They're saying we already decided to do this, and now we just got to bring the public on board. What? What? You know what? I think everybody who supports this is what I call for. Everybody who supports this, go pay the tax. And the rest of us who don't support it, we'll ride off your taxes. All right? We'll just ride on those. If you so much you want to do that, then do it. But leave us alone. This is another example of government let us alone. Okay?
Yeah, you
So-
got it. What else you got?
Well, here's the thing. I guess I'm really stuck on this audit thing for taxes in New Jersey. It's imperative. It's imperative. I think I'm going to make a couple of phone calls to my representatives. And by the way, I must say, I think the people who are on this and really pay attention to this, Americans for Prosperity, grassroots group in New Jersey, nationally, are really on top of this. So what we got now, Ebola is under control. It's contained.
Finally, huh?
Be happy.
Yeah,
Don't worry. Okay?
Well,
We're under control. And to prove that, we just have a new Ebola
Tsar.
Obama czar.
Tsar. He comes from Russia. Tsar.
Czar.
Tsar. There
Tsar.
you go.
Tsar.
That's where he started.
Ron Klain. So now the selling job begins. Well, he has no medical background.
But he has a good communication
He has,
skills.
Yes, he has good
Communication.
communication skills. He's not in the Army, has no real managerial skills, hasn't really managed anything. But his job is to sell that everything's under control.
Yeah.
It is said in here, well, this job, Obama says this job is to be a managerial job. So I'm thinking about this. Here's a guy that comes to a very important position with no background and experience. And I said, well, yeah, why not? Look who's the president. What? What? Why wouldn't it be that way?
It runs in the
Right?
circle, same circle.
So we got a community organizer
Yeah.
as president, and we have a community organizer as Obama czar,
Right.
right? I keep saying Obama czar, Ebola czar.
Ebola. Ebola.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at my own jokes here, my own slips, but that's the way it has to be sometimes. Hey, look, unfortunately this week we don't have a Clouseau, an Inspector Clouseau award for the most unintentionally
Buffoonery.
buffoon. All right. For those of you who don't know, that is our. Then we search really high and low for this. Unfortunately, the person that surfaces to the top every single time, and we feel really bad about it, is Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
Every time we search and we look for something, Al Sharpton comes up with another winner of the Unintentional Buffoonery Award. We're working on being able to show you some clips, not today, of course, but in the future, show you some clips of Al Sharpton being his unintentional buffoon. But it is something that that is noteworthy. Just as we're going out here, another thing about who cares is everybody read Obama's credit card got turned down when he went out to eat the other night.
Yeah, in New
I had a
York.
laugh. He got credit down. He said, we thought it was fraud, but it was really that he hadn't used it that much. I said, no, it's fraud. We got the biggest fraud around sitting in there spending our money. If there's anything fraudulent, it's that.
His thing, yeah. Himself, yeah.
Folks, thank you for coming in. This is Liberty Action Network. We are Lunch Pail and the Professor. We'll be back. Thank you for tuning in. Kick back, eat the rest of those Cheetos you've been nibbling on, or if you're really a healthy person, slices. And we'll see you. God bless America. God bless you all out there.
America
We'll see
bless
you
God.
soon.
Bye-bye.